Welcome to Heart and Hustle, where love meets mindset. I'm Courtney Ryan, and I'm here to help you level up your heart, your hustle, and your life. Today, we're going to talk about something that a lot of men think about, but very few actually understand how to make a woman want you sexually. And before you jump to conclusions, no, this isn't about cheap pickup lines, flashy tricks, or manipulation. This is about becoming the kind of man who naturally ignites desire in a woman without forcing it, without begging for it, and without lowering your self-worth in the process. So let's break this down, because sexual attraction is one of the most misunderstood dynamics in relationships. Most guys think that if they're nice enough, if they do everything a woman wants, if they buy her dinner and gifts, then she's automatically going to want them. But that's not how attraction works. You can't bargain, buy, or force your way into genuine sexual desire. Real attraction is emotional, psychological, and primal. And the men who understand this are the men who women crave, not just as friends, but as lovers. The first thing you need to understand is that women don't want to be convinced to sleep with you. They want to feel like they can't help but be drawn to you. Sexual desire for women is much less about what you say and much more about how you make them feel. If you can create the right emotional environment, one that mixes comfort with tension, safety with a little bit of danger, and kindness with strength, then you're going to awaken something inside her that words alone could never do. And here's the truth: women don't want men who are needy. Needy energy kills sexual attraction instantly. If you're constantly seeking her approval, texting her nonstop, putting her on a pedestal, or trying to prove your worth to her, you're doing the opposite of what triggers desire. Instead of showing her you're a confident man with options, you're showing her that she's your only option. And when a woman feels like you're chasing her too hard, she doesn't feel turned on, she feels pressured, or worse, she feels bored. Confidence, on the other hand, is the number one thing that makes a woman want you sexually. But let me clarify, confidence isn't arrogance. It's not bragging, it's not showing off, and it's not acting like you're better than her. Real confidence is grounded, it's calm. It's that quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are, knowing what you bring to the table, and not needing her validation to feel valuable. A man who is genuinely confident doesn't need to chase, because his presence alone communicates that he's worth pursuing. Now, confidence doesn't just live in your words, it lives in your body. Women pick up on nonverbal cues far more than men realize. Your posture, your eye contact, the way you walk into a room. These things speak louder than anything you could say. If you're slouched over, avoiding her gaze, or acting like you're apologizing for taking up space, you're communicating insecurity without even realizing it. On the flip side, if you stand tall, hold steady eye contact, and move with purpose, you're signaling strength and security. And that kind of energy is magnetic to women. Confidence and presence are at the heart of what makes a woman feel sexual attraction for a man, and it goes far beyond just having the courage to walk up to her and start a conversation. When people talk about confidence, they often think of loud personalities, cocky attitudes, or the guy who dominates every social situation with jokes and bravado. But in reality, true confidence is much quieter, deeper, and more powerful. It's not about needing to prove yourself or trying too hard to impress others. It's about the inner belief that you are valuable, that you have something to offer, and that your worth doesn't depend on the approval of anyone else. Women can sense this immediately because it shows up in the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, and in the way you simply exist in a room. Presence is that magnetic quality that makes people notice you without you needing to do anything loud or dramatic. It's when you walk into a room and people can feel your energy even before you say a word. For men, presence comes from being grounded in who you are. If your mind is constantly racing with insecurity, wondering if you're good enough, if she likes you, if other men are better than you, then your body language will reveal it. You might slouch, avoid eye contact, fidget, or shrink yourself physically as if you're apologizing for taking up space. That kind of energy communicates insecurity, and it kills attraction. On the other hand, when you're calm, steady, and fully comfortable in your skin, your body reflects that confidence. You stand tall, your shoulders are relaxed but not slouched, your voice is steady, and you look people directly in the eyes. You don't have to force anything, you just radiate assurance in a way that draws women toward you. Another aspect of confidence is not being needy. Women are wired to pick up on neediness instantly. If you're constantly looking for validation, through compliments, constant texting, or trying to impress her with the top gestures, it actually does the opposite of what you want. Instead of seeing you as desirable, she sees you as dependent on her attention for your self-worth. That dynamic kills sexual attraction because it shifts the energy from her being drawn to you to her feeling pressured by you. True confidence means you're happy and fulfilled on your own, and while you'd like her to be a part of your life, you don't need her to complete it. When a woman senses that you're already complete, it makes her more curious and more likely to desire you. Presence also has a lot to do with being in the moment. Too many men get distracted during interactions. They're rehearsing what to say next, checking their phone, or letting their mind wander. When you're not present, she feels like you're not really connecting with her. But when you're fully there, listening closely, holding steady eye contact, and engaging with genuine curiosity, she feels seen. And being truly seen by a man is one of the most powerful triggers of desire for a woman. It makes her feel special and valued in a way that surface level compliments or flashy behavior never could. Women are also incredibly sensitive to the way a man uses his voice and tone. A shaky, nervous, or rushed voice communicates insecurity. A calm, grounded, and slightly slower pace communicates confidence and control. The way you speak carries just as much weight as the words you're saying. Presence in communication means not just talking, but commanding attention with your tone, your pauses, and the certainty in your delivery. It's subtle, but it makes all the difference in how she perceives you. Another layer of presence is how you carry yourself physically. Your grooming, your style, the way you walk into a room, all of these things are nonverbal signals of confidence. When you look like you've put thought into how you present yourself, you're showing that you respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, she's far more likely to see you as someone worth respecting and desiring. It doesn't mean you need to be the best looking guy in the room. It means you need to look like a man who takes pride in himself and in the space he occupies. There's also an energetic component to presence that can't always be explained logically, but can always be felt. It's the way you remain calm under pressure, the way you don't get rattled easily, and the way you make people feel steady just by being around you. Women are deeply drawn to men who project that kind of energy because it makes them feel safe. And when they feel safe, they can lean into their own feminine energy. And when a woman is in her feminine energy around you, sexual attraction comes much more naturally. Confidence also shows in the choices you make and the way you interact with the world. Do you hesitate when opportunities come your way, or do you take action with conviction? Do you second guess yourself constantly, or do you trust your instincts? Women notice these things. A man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to move toward it radiates strength. Even if he doesn't always succeed, the fact that he's willing to act and stand behind his choices is deeply attractive. It shows courage, and courage is sexy. Finally, confidence and presence come from consistency. You can't fake it for one night and expect lasting attraction. It's something you build over time by developing yourself, pursuing your passions, and becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase because his life is already full and meaningful. When you embody that energy, when you walk into every interaction with the calm assurance that you bring value to the table, you don't have to try to make a woman want you sexually. She'll feel it naturally because presence and confidence are the silent language of attraction that every woman understands on a subconscious level. Masculine polarity is one of the most powerful forces in creating sexual attraction, and yet it's something many men either misunderstand or completely overlook. Polarity is essentially the magnetic pull between masculine and feminine energy. When a man fully embodies his masculine presence and a woman feels safe enough to lean into her feminine, the result is an undeniable spark. It's the dance of opposites, the natural push and pull that creates passion. Without polarity, relationships often feel flat, more like friendships than romantic connections, because the sexual charge simply isn't there. Understanding and embodying masculine polarity is what transforms interactions from neutral or friendly into charged and exciting. At its core, masculine polarity is about decisiveness and leadership. Women are naturally drawn to men who know what they want and aren't afraid to move toward it. That doesn't mean being controlling or disregarding her input, but it does mean stepping up with initiative instead of waiting for her to do everything. Something as simple as suggesting a restaurant instead of asking her what she wants for dinner every time creates that sense of leadership. It communicates that you're confident in your ability to take charge and that you're not afraid to be responsible for creating experiences. Women want to feel your direction, because it allows them to relax into their feminine, knowing they don't have to be the one steering the ship all the time. Polarity also shows up in how assertive you are. Being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive or pushy. It means being clear, confident, and intentional with your actions and words. When you're hesitant, when you second guess yourself, or when you constantly defer to her, you're stepping out of your masculine role and into a passive energy that doesn't inspire desire. On the other hand, when you're assertive in a respectful way, when you confidently initiate a kiss, when you guide her by the hand as you cross the street, when you clearly express your interest without beating around the bush, you're embodying the very energy that ignites her feminine side. That balance of respect and decisiveness is what creates the delicious tension that fuels sexual attraction. Another element of polarity is strength. Not just physical strength, but emotional and mental strength as well. Women want to feel that they can lean on a man, that he's not going to crumble under pressure or run from challenges. Strength in this sense means being grounded in your emotions, staying calm in stressful situations, and not letting setbacks shake your identity. When you show resilience, When you stay composed in moments where others would panic, you radiate the kind of masculine energy that women crave. It signals that you can handle life, and by extension, you can handle her. That sense of strength allows her to let go of control and fully step into her feminine without fear. Masculine polarity is also about clarity of purpose. A man without direction, drifting through life aimlessly, doesn't create the same magnetic pull as a man who knows where he's going. Women are deeply attracted to purpose-driven men because purpose is a masculine trait. It shows that you're not just living for validation or surface-level pleasure, you're driven by something bigger. That kind of energy naturally commands respect and admiration, and it positions you as the kind of man she can look up to and be inspired by. When you have a clear vision for your life, it creates polarity because she feels she's being pulled into a current of momentum rather than having to create that current herself. Polarity also thrives in the small, subtle things. It's in the way you hold eye contact without flinching, the way you touch her confidently but respectfully, the way you hold the door without hesitation, the way you speak with certainty instead of doubt. These little moments add up, and they create a consistent experience where she feels your grounded masculine energy. Feminine energy thrives in the presence of masculine strength, and when you consistently embody it, she naturally feels herself becoming more open, playful, and sensual around you. It's important to understand that polarity isn't about dominance or control. It's not about making all the decisions or refusing to listen. True polarity comes from balance. You provide the direction, but you also make space for her input and her expression. You're firm, but not rigid. You lead, but you don't dismiss. You create structure, but you allow flow within it. That balance is what makes her feel both safe and free, both cherished and excited. And that combination is exactly what sparks sexual desire. Polarity also creates tension, and tension is the foundation of sexual attraction. If you're too predictable, too passive, or too eager to please, there's no tension. Everything feels flat. But when you create contrast, when you mix safety with a little bit of mystery, stability with spontaneity, you're feeding the polarity that keeps her on her toes. That's why women are drawn to men who can be strong and steady one moment and playful and adventurous the next. The mix keeps the energy alive, and it fuels the constant back and forth that makes intimacy electric. At the end of the day, masculine polarity is about fully embracing your role as a man. It's about owning your presence, your direction, your confidence, and your ability to create structure. It's about embodying strength in a way that allows her to soften into her feminine. When you do that, you unlock the natural polarity that already exists between men and women, and you create the kind of magnetic pull that makes a woman not just like you, but desire you on the deepest, most primal level. Emotional safety and excitement might sound like two very different things, but when it comes to making a woman feel genuine sexual desire, they work hand in hand. A woman can only fully lean into attraction when she feels safe with a man. Safety in this sense isn't just about physical protection. Although that matters, it's about emotional security. It's about knowing she can trust you, that you won't judge her, and that you'll respect her boundaries. When a woman feels safe, her walls come down, her guard lowers, and she allows herself to be more vulnerable. That vulnerability is essential for true intimacy, because without it, she will always hold something back. But safety alone isn't enough. If you only make her feel safe but never excited, she'll see you as dependable but not desirable, more like a friend than a lover. The spark of desire happens when safety and excitement come together, when she knows she can trust you, but also feels like you'll take her on a thrilling ride she can't predict. Emotional safety starts with consistency. Women feel secure with men who do what they say and follow through on their words. If you tell her you're going to call. If you make a plan, stick to it. Inconsistency creates anxiety, and anxiety kills attraction because it pushes her into her masculine energy, where she feels she has to take control. On the other hand, when you're consistent, she relaxes. She doesn't have to question your intentions or wonder if you'll flake, because your actions show reliability. Reliability doesn't sound glamorous, but in the world of attraction, it's the foundation that allows everything else to flourish. Another way you create emotional safety is by truly listening to her. So many men hear what women say, but they don't really listen. Listening means being present, not interrupting, not dismissing her feelings, and not immediately trying to fix everything. When you give her the space to express herself without judgment, she feels understood. Feeling understood is a huge part of feeling safe. And when a woman feels understood by a man, she naturally feels more connected to him. That connection paves the way for desire because she knows she can let down her defenses without being ridiculed or ignored. Emotional safety also comes from your ability to handle your own emotions. If you're easily angered, overly reactive, or unstable, she won't feel safe. She'll constantly feel like she has to walk on eggshells around you, and that destroys attraction. On the other hand, when you're emotionally grounded, when you can remain calm in conflict, express yourself clearly without exploding, and hold steady no matter the situation, you create an environment where she feels secure. That stability makes her trust you, and trust is the gateway to deeper intimacy. Now, once safety is established, excitement is what fuels the fire. Excitement comes from unpredictability, playfulness, and adventure. Women don't want to feel like every interaction is scripted or that being with you is the same routine over and over again. They want to feel butterflies. They want moments where they're surprised, and they want experiences that keep them guessing. That doesn't mean you have to constantly be doing extravagant things. It simply means keeping the energy fresh. Maybe it's taking her somewhere new without telling her in advance. Maybe it's sending a flirty text she didn't expect, or maybe it's introducing a playful edge into your conversations that keeps her on her toes. Excitement also comes from creating tension. Tension is built in the space between safety and desire. For example, when you hold her gaze a little longer than usual, when you lean in but don't kiss her right away. When you tease her playfully and then smile, it builds anticipation. Anticipation is one of the strongest drivers of excitement because it makes her feel like something is coming, but she doesn't know exactly when. That suspense keeps her engaged and it heightens her desire. Balancing safety and excitement requires awareness. If you lean too far into safety without adding any excitement, you risk becoming the nice guy she confides in but doesn't want sexually. If you lean too far into excitement without safety, she may enjoy the thrill for a while but won't trust you enough to go deeper. The men who master both are the ones who women crave because they feel the comfort of being protected along with the thrill of being desired. Part of creating this balance also comes from how you carry yourself. A man who is stable, disciplined, and in control of himself automatically creates safety, but a man who also embraces spontaneity, humor, and flirtation injects excitement into the dynamic. It's in the way you can have a serious, grounded conversation one moment and then make her laugh the next. It's in the way you can plan something thoughtful, but also pivot to something spontaneous without missing a beat. That blend keeps her emotionally secure while also feeding her natural desire for adventure and passion. Women want to feel like they're stepping into a world with you that is both safe and exhilarating. They want to know that you're a man who can protect their heart, but also a man who can make it race. When you give her both of those experiences simultaneously, you tap into the deepest layers of attraction, the kind that makes her not just interested in you, but genuinely drawn to you on a primal level. Playful flirtation and teasing are some of the most powerful tools you can use to build sexual tension with a woman, and the reason they work so well is because they create a mix of comfort, fun, and just the right amount of challenge. Most men either go too far in one direction or the other. They're either overly serious and afraid to flirt at all, or they're so aggressive with flirting that it comes across as pushy or disrespectful. The sweet spot is when you're able to bring lighthearted humor, a little bit of teasing, and a confident, playful energy into your interactions. This is what takes you out of the friend zone and puts you in the space where she starts to view you as someone attractive, someone who sparks her curiosity, and someone who she feels that magnetic pull toward. Flirtation works because it's non-verbal just as much as it is verbal. The way you look at her, the way you smile at her, and the tone of your voice can all communicate far more than the words you're saying. For example, holding eye contact just a little longer than usual, smiling with a knowing look, or leaning in slightly when you're talking creates a subtle charge. That kind of energy says, I see you, and I'm interested without you having to spell it out directly. Women pick up on these micro signals instantly, and they respond to them when the energy behind them is confident but relaxed. Teasing is another form of flirtation that builds attraction because it introduces tension. When you tease a woman in a playful, lighthearted way, you're showing her that you're confident enough not to take yourself too seriously and bold enough not to put her on a pedestal. Teasing breaks the monotony of normal conversation and creates a spark that makes the interaction feel different from the way she talks to everyone else. The key, though, is that teasing has to be fun and never cruel. If it comes from a place of insecurity or if it crosses into making her feel small, it backfires. But if it's done with a smile, with charm, and with the intention of keeping things light, it makes her laugh, it makes her lean in, and it makes her want more of that energy. Flirtation also communicates intent, which is something a lot of men shy away from. Many men fear being clear about their interest because they don't want to risk rejection, so they mask their intentions under layers of politeness or neutrality. But what ends up happening is the woman never feels any sexual spark because she never gets the sense that he actually sees her in that way. Flirting bridges that gap. It's the way you signal that you see her as more than just a friend or acquaintance. When you flirt, you're saying with your energy, I'm attracted to you, and I'm not afraid to let you feel that. Women respect that confidence because it shows you're bold enough to own your interest without being needy or desperate. Playfulness in general is magnetic. When you bring a playful energy into your interactions, it puts her at ease. It makes her feel like being around you is fun, light, and refreshing compared to the stress and seriousness of everyday life. Women are drawn to men who can make them laugh, who can spark their curiosity, and who can keep things interesting. That doesn't mean turning everything into a joke, but it does mean not being afraid to be witty, clever, and lighthearted. When you can balance playful energy with moments of seriousness, you create a dynamic that keeps her guessing and keeps her intrigued. Flirtation is also about timing and pacing. If you come on too strong, too soon, it can feel overwhelming or insincere. But if you never show any signs of attraction, you end up in the dreaded friend zone. The art is in escalating gradually, starting with small, subtle hints and then increasing the intensity as the connection grows. A teasing comment here, a mischievous smile there, a playful challenge in the middle of a conversation. These are the building blocks of sexual tension. Over time, they create a rhythm where she starts to anticipate your next move, and that anticipation is where desire thrives. Another overlooked part of flirtation is listening and responding in a playful way. Instead of giving boring, predictable answers, you can use her words as opportunities to create fun banter. If she says something simple, you can twist it into a playful joke or exaggerate it in a humorous way. This shows quick wit, which communicates intelligence and confidence, and it keeps the interaction lively. It also makes her feel like your connection is unique, because the energy you bring is unlike what she gets in her everyday conversations. Physical flirtation plays a role here too. Light, respectful touches in the right moments, like a playful tap on the arm when you tease her, or guiding her gently through a crowd, add a layer of intimacy without being too forward. These small touches, when combined with playful words and energy, create a cocktail of signals that deepen attraction. The key is subtlety and confidence. A hesitant, awkward touch feels off, but a calm, deliberate one feels natural and magnetic. Ultimately, playful flirtation and teasing work because they create tension and contrast. They keep her from feeling like the interaction is flat or predictable. They show her that you're confident enough to express interest without being needy, and bold enough to keep things exciting without being disrespectful. When you strike that balance, you move past surface, level connection, and into the space where she starts to feel that spark, that curiosity, and that undeniable desire to see where things could go. Physicality and touch are some of the most powerful elements in building sexual attraction, but they're also the areas where many men make mistakes because they either avoid it completely out of fear or they rush into it too aggressively. The truth is that physical presence and the way you use touch communicate far more than words ever could. A woman will often decide if she feels sexual chemistry with you based on how you carry yourself physically, how you maintain your appearance, and how you navigate the physical space between you. When done with confidence and respect, physicality and touch can create sparks that words alone can never achieve. The first element of physicality is your overall appearance. While women aren't as visually driven as men, they absolutely notice how you look and how you present yourself. Grooming, hygiene, fitness, and style all matter more than most men want to admit. You don't need to be the best looking man in the room, but you do need to look like a man who values himself. Clean nails, fresh breath, neat hair, a sense of style that suits your body, and clothes that actually fit are small details that add up to a huge impression. When a woman sees that you take care of yourself, she subconsciously registers you as someone who is disciplined, confident, and worth desiring. On the flip side, when you look sloppy or neglect your appearance, it communicates that you don't respect yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, why should she feel attraction? Beyond appearance, physical presence is about body language. Women are incredibly attuned to nonverbal cues, and the way you move speaks volumes. Do you walk with purpose, or do you shuffle nervously? Do you stand tall with your shoulders back, or do you slump forward like you're trying to disappear? Do you maintain strong, steady eye contact, or do you look away the second she meets your gaze? These subtle cues communicate confidence or insecurity without you ever opening your mouth. A confident posture, grounded movements, and deliberate actions show that you're in control of yourself and your environment, which is deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Now, when it comes to touch, the key is gradual escalation and intention. A lot of men make the mistake of either never initiating touch at all or jumping straight into overly intimate contact without building any tension. Touch should start small, subtle, and respectful. A light brush on her arm during conversation, a gentle hand on her back as you guide her through a doorway, or a playful high five that lingers just slightly longer than necessary. All of these are ways to test the waters and create a physical connection without being invasive. These touches, when done with confidence, start to build familiarity and trust, and they create an undercurrent of sexual tension. The difference between touch that feels exciting and touch that feels creepy is all about energy. If you touch her nervously, hesitantly, or in a way that feels like you're seeking permission, it will feel off. But if you touch her calmly, deliberately, and with respect, it communicates strength and assurance. Women respond to that energy because it makes them feel both safe and desired. It's not about grabbing or forcing, it's about guiding and connecting. Subtle touches build anticipation, and anticipation is the foundation of desire. Timing also plays a huge role. If you try to rush physical intimacy, you break the natural flow of attraction. Sexual tension is like a fire. It builds slowly with the right fuel. By pacing yourself, You allow her to feel each moment, to anticipate the next move, and to lean into the experience. For example, holding her hand for the first time can be far more electrifying than rushing into a kiss, because it sets the stage and leaves her wanting more. By the time you do escalate to a kiss or something more intimate, the energy is already charged, and the connection feels natural rather than forced. Touch is also powerful because it creates contrast. Imagine sitting across from a woman during a conversation. Everything is verbal, the energy is steady, and then suddenly you lightly touch her arm while making a point. That shift from non-physical to physical creates a spike of electricity. It's the contrast that makes it exciting. Women are highly responsive to changes in energy, and when you're able to create those little contrasts throughout your interaction, you keep her engaged and intrigued. Another important piece of physicality is fitness and how you treat your body. Again, it's not about having the perfect physique, it's about showing discipline and respect for yourself. A man who takes care of his body through exercise and healthy habits communicates strength. Vitality and masculinity, these traits are biologically attractive because they signal health, capability, and resilience. Even subtle changes in how you carry yourself when you're fit, your posture, your energy, your stamina, send signals that women instinctively notice. It's also worth noting that touch isn't just about physical contact with her body. It's also about how you interact with the physical environment around you. The way you open a door, the way you move through space, the way you handle objects, these things show coordination, control, and presence. A man who fumbles awkwardly with simple tasks gives off nervous energy, while a man who moves smoothly and confidently makes everything around him feel more secure. Women pick up on that, and it influences how they feel about you physically. At its core, physicality and touch are about creating a bridge between comfort and desire. They're about blending respect with confidence, subtlety with boldness, patience with anticipation. When you master your physical presence, when you take care of your appearance, when you use touch to build gradual tension instead of rushing into it, you create an environment where a woman not only feels safe with you, but also feels that undeniable spark of sexual attraction that pulls her closer. Purpose and authenticity are at the core of what makes a man not just attractive, but deeply desirable to a woman. When a man has a sense of direction in his life, when he knows who he is and what he stands for, he becomes magnetic in a way that cannot be faked. Women are drawn to men who are grounded in their identity, who live with integrity, and who pursue something greater than themselves. This doesn't mean you need to have your entire life figured out, but it does mean that you should be striving towards something meaningful and carrying yourself with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're on your own path. When you think about purpose, it's about more than just your career or financial success. Purpose is about your vision for your life, your values, and the kind of impact you want to make. A man with purpose doesn't wander aimlessly or live in a state of constant distraction. He knows what matters to him, and he structures his life accordingly. This sense of clarity and determination is incredibly attractive because it signals strength, ambition, and stability. A woman feels secure and inspired by a man who is committed to something bigger than himself because it shows that he has direction and resilience, which are qualities tied to long-term desirability. Authenticity goes hand in hand with purpose. Too many men think they need to put on a performance or pretend to be someone they're not in order to impress women. The problem with that is it always comes across as inauthentic, and women are incredibly skilled at sensing when someone is being fake. Authenticity means showing up as who you truly are, your strengths, your flaws, your quirks, without apology. It doesn't mean you stop improving yourself, but it does mean that you stop hiding behind a mask. When you're authentic, you give off an energy of self-acceptance, and that's what allows others, especially women, to relax around you and trust you. The combination of purpose and authenticity creates what you could call grounded confidence. This isn't arrogance or bravado. It's the kind of confidence that comes from truly knowing yourself and living in alignment with your values. When you have that, you don't chase validation from women because your self-worth isn't dependent on their approval. Ironically, that's exactly what makes women more attracted to you. They sense that you don't need them to complete you, and that independence is incredibly sexy. A man who is content with himself, yet open to sharing his journey, radiates a sense of maturity and strength that women find irresistible. Living with purpose also shapes how you move through relationships. A man without purpose often becomes clingy or overly focused on his partner for fulfillment, which can be suffocating. A man with purpose, on the other hand, brings balance. He can love fully, but he also has something that drives him outside of the relationship, that keeps the dynamic exciting and prevents it from becoming stagnant. Women want to feel like they're joining a man on his journey, not that they are the journey itself. When she sees that you're ambitious, that you're striving, that you're passionate about your goals, she feels both admiration and desire. Authenticity plays a huge role in attraction because it builds trust. When you're real with a woman, when you speak your truth, when you set boundaries, when you're honest about what you want, she feels safe. She doesn't have to second, guess your intentions, or worry about whether you're hiding something. That sense of emotional safety is the foundation that allows her to open up, and when a woman opens up, that's when deeper intimacy and sexual desire follow. Pretending to be someone you're not may get short-term attention, but it will never create lasting attraction. Purpose also means that you're not easily swayed by external opinions. A man with no direction tends to adapt himself to whatever he thinks others want, and that lack of backbone is a major turn off. But when you have a strong sense of who you are and where you're going, you don't crumble under pressure. You can listen, you can compromise, but you don't lose yourself in the process. That stability creates a strong masculine polarity that women crave. It's not about being rigid or stubborn. It's about having an inner compass that keeps you aligned with your truth. On a practical level, embodying purpose and authenticity requires consistent self-reflection and action. It means asking yourself what you truly want in life, and then taking the steps, however small, to move in that direction. It means being honest in your interactions, not saying things just to please, but speaking from a place of truth. It means showing up in the world as yourself, even when that might not win everyone's approval. The men who stand out to women are not the ones who try to fit into every box, but the ones who unapologetically own who they are and live with passion. Ultimately, purpose and authenticity create a sense of depth. Surface level attraction can get a woman's attention, but depth is what makes her want to invest herself in you on a physical and emotional level. A man who lives with purpose, who embraces authenticity, becomes not just someone she enjoys spending time with, but someone she can respect, admire, and desire fully. That combination of strength, truth, and direction ignites a woman's sexual attraction because it speaks to her instincts. She sees you as a man who knows who he is going somewhere, and who invites her to be part of that journey.